Hey people, welcome to the 5th part of my little drum cover series where I cover a song which I really like and then reflect on my learning process and tell you about the insights I gained. And if you are subscribed to this channel, and if not, please do so, why wait, then you know that my main goal is to help you to become independent learners. Not just show you what I did, but show you the methods I use and you can also use, how to learn healthy and how to learn effectively in the long term. And this time we will take a different approach than in the previous videos, where usually I reflected on the learning method I used. But this time I didn't use one particular method, but just did it intuitively. And this time I really want to show you how to play this song. And the song is Burning Beard by one of my absolute favorite bands, Clutch. And one of the biggest influences in creative and interesting rock drumming, tasteful rock drumming, is the drummer J.P. Geister. I love Clutch because they are so progressive. They started out as kind of a stoner rock band, typical stoner band, but they quickly had a lot of influences from blues, jazz and funk, soul music, so very American music, but very progressive because they changed their style several times. And they are always very challenging rhythmically. And also the lyrics, by the way, the lyrics, you need to listen to the lyrics. They are genius. They don't tell any stories, but they are like collages. They are allegories, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Very interesting constellations of different topics and myths, and it's so interesting and funny most of the time, so definitely listen to the lyrics. They are genius and they help to make Clutch one of my absolutely favorite bands of all time. They combine finesse and intelligent songwriting with a lot of groove and a lot of energy, power and punch. And the perfect example is this song Burning Beard from the album Robert Hive Exodus. I will tell you how to play this song, but first the statistics to have a little bit of comparison to the previous videos. I would rate the difficulty of this song at about 5 out of 10 because it's rhythmically that challenging. I started out at a higher baseline because I have used this song as an example for creative phrasing many times at workshops or with my students, and I have played along to it several times. So I would rate the baseline at about 40%. And it took me only about 5.5 hours spread over several days to record this song, and actually this includes more than half the time only for the recording. So when I felt ready, I just hit record and did that until I had a recording I was happy with. So far in this series we looked at 4 different methods: learning only by ear, learning only visually, learning with prepared sheet music, and writing sheet music on my own. But this time I didn't want to pick one certain method. I just wanted to start and see what I need and then do it intuitively. So I just played along to it. That is what I always suggest to do at the beginning. Just play it with what you have, with what you can, and then you know where you need more information, where you need to practice more, but you have a feeling for the song. And I took a live recording. There is a drum cam video available. And there I could see that JP plays very freely over the theme, over the main groove. So I did kind of a mixture, not as in the previous videos where I set a clear benchmark, but this time I just was inspired by the live recording and did kind of a mixture. So I played most of the things like in the original studio recording, but incorporated some of the phrasings and some of the embellishments from the live recording. So I switched back and forth between listening to the song and watching the live recording, and of course practicing and playing the song. And the song is so interesting because it is in 7/4 time, but it's very hard to hear that because of the interesting phrasing. In my last video, I learned that I should listen more to the main riff and not to the drums, because in this case, I'm pretty sure that the song is built around this interesting main riff. The riff is made up of 4 parts. You have the first part, which is repeated 3 times, and that contains 6 16th notes. So you have 18 16th notes. And the fourth part is 10 16th notes. So you have 28 16th notes, which are 14 eighth notes or 7 quarter notes. So it's 7 4 time. But you can't really hear that because of this interesting polyrhythm. You have this figure of 6 16th notes, which is kind of a turned around swing. Ding to ding, ding to ding, ding to ding, which JP actually plays on the right cymbal. And then you have this figure of 10 16th notes, which is kind of a resolve from which you start over again. So it's a very interesting phrasing and a perfect example how to play odd time signatures, because I hate it when people play a 7/4 or a 7/8 just as a 4/4 bar, but they just cut out the last note. So it kind of stops prematurely and then starts over again. This is a very crude method to play those kind of odd time signatures. I like this version much better because it's very musically and it respects the main riff. So the drummer really plays together with the guitar, so they really build something. They don't try to get the usual 4/4 playing into this time signature and just cut out what doesn't fit, but they really build something new. If you ask yourself how you would count such a groove, well, the first thing is, in the end, you shouldn't count, but you should listen to the riff and let it guide you. But if you want to find out what time signature you have, there is one method I used here. I just played along to the smallest subdivision. I heard the 16th notes, ding to ding, ding to ding, ding to ding. So I just did this on my knee and counted the strokes until the riff began once more. If this is too fast, you could just do this, accent the first note, and then you just take your phone and film yourself, record yourself, and then watch it in slow motion and just count how many strokes you made on your knee. But you could also do it in chunks. So as I said, we have 4 parts. Ding to ding, ding to ding, ding to ding, 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 ding. And you just count out the first part, ding to ding. You know that it's 6 16th in a whole. And you just count that times 3, and then you count the last part, and then you will find out that you have 28 16th notes, and this leads us to the conclusion that it has to be a 7/4 time signature. And this method is appropriate because, yes, it is a 7/4, but try to count the quarter notes. It really does not fit, and you really feel that this is not how the musicians feel it. So this is the main groove that is played in this song. And in the next part, he plays the same groove between bass and snare, but it's hardly noticeable. He plays quarter notes on the hi-hat, and this disguises the groove. So that's genius. You still have the main feeling going, but you have a completely different take on it. And this is what I always say. You can do so much with just a small amount of grooves or fills if you are able to play them on different parts of the drum set, in different dynamics, different tempos. Just be creative to change up one single idea, and this is a perfect example. and it's a perfect fit for this part and for this song, of course. Then we have a part in 6/4 time, but you really have to count to notice that it's not 4/4, but it feels a little bit more reliable. It's kind of a relief in the middle of the song. It doesn't have this wacky feeling of being thrashed around like this 7/4. After that, we go back to the theme, and in the end there's happening a very interesting thing. Because in the coda, they cut off the last part of the main riff, the 5/8 notes, and only play the first part on repeat, the 6/16 notes. Before, those 6/16 notes were played on a quarter note beat, so it was kind of a polyrhythm. But now, because you repeat it over and over, you hear the quarter notes a bit faster, so that you don't have 4 notes per quarter note, but 3 notes per quarter note. So this is kind of a rhythmic illusion, sometimes also called a metric modulation. So the amount of notes and the spacing between the notes is the same, but now the beats are a bit faster because the beat is not on every 4th, but on every 3rd note.
Break the glass ceiling and golden parachute on down. The power of the Holy Ghost comes to town. Remove the shadow of the new Praetorian.
So what before was a polyrhythm is now the main rhythm. So he keeps this the switched around swing pattern, ding to ding, ding to ding, keeps it going, and they build it up and they play even more crazy, and there's this culmination until the final stroke. And this is why Burning Beard by Clutch is such a great example for progressive, creative and tasteful songwriting and rock drumming. If you want to play the song as well, you now know the main grooves, but also for all my supporters on Patreon, I have a version where you only hear the drums and also can see which groove I am playing at the moment. If you want to support me on Patreon, help me keep going with this channel and get something in return like special videos, gifts from me and a workshop once a year, then check the link in the description. I hope you liked this video, then please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like the video, please feel free to hit the dislike button twice. I'm actually working on the next drum cover already. This time it will be a little bit more bluesy, more soul-y and a bit funky. I'm really excited about that one. I hope you are as well. Hope to see you in the next video. Until then, take care and bye-bye.